Welcome to Global Village. I'm Ahmed Kassem, your host of the program. We have two guests today. Great guest is Ron Robinson. He is the director of the emergency management in Medicine Hat. And we have our police chief, Tom McNulty. He is the RCMP police chief in Brooks and County of Newell. Welcome to the program.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Ron, just following up of the discussion we had a while ago about the emergency management team. So is it coordination of all the agencies in the area of Medicine Hat or the southeast of Alberta?
So part of my role includes the regional director of emergency management. So at this point in time, my role, of course, as director is to coordinate the necessary agencies, both internally and externally, to respond to whatever incident of scale we're dealing with. So we have 18 internal agencies comprising any from energy, so we have gas, electric, municipal works, environmental utilities, fire, police, any agency that will benefit by the coordination in an activated emergency operations center, where we can take a look at a common operating picture and then respond using by activating our existing plans, developing incident action plans. So that's the role of a director of emergency management, both from a municipal perspective, which has the autonomy to govern its own activities internally, as well as a regional response as well.
Oh, thank you very much, and welcome back again to the program, sir. We are very honored to have you again. Before we get into the tough questions, last time when we were talking, I think you were heading to Saskatchewan to attend your son's hockey game.
I was, and I did. And, unfortunately, he's finished now. He was playing for the Melville Millionaires in the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League, and he had a very good year. Unfortunately, they lost out in the South Final of the playoffs, and he's home with us now in Brooks. But yeah, he had a very good year, and he'll spend the summer with us in Brooks, and then hopefully off to university.
But he was named the best player.
He won the scoring championship for the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League and was named most outstanding player for the league this year, and yeah, it was a pretty good run.
Well, congratulations. I said that. I think you must be proud of him. Congratulations. Coming back to the question of Brooks and County of Newell area. As you very well know, the assaults are a little bit high in the month of March. Why you think is that? I
wish I had a solid answer for you, but over the last year, we saw in 2012, compared to 2011, we saw assaults rise about 25% to about 400 assaults reported, which is quite substantial. In the first 3 months of 2013, we saw 54 reported. February was down, but March they were back up again, and I don't have an answer. The best I can come up with right at the moment, I've looked at all of the ones from 2013, and out of 54, I can say that approximately 90% are alcohol involved. 33 of the 54 are domestic violence, a result of domestic violence, assault charges investigated. And as you know, in the last 6 or 8 months in Brooks, we've had a very, very strong conversation about domestic violence. We've talked a lot about intimate relationships and violence in the home. And we've put together our domestic violence intervention team. And as a result of that, I think a few more people are feeling better about reporting or feeling a little bit more confident. So I think maybe we could see a small rise in reported domestic violence because of the procedures and the supports we've put in. But why the assaults have gone up over the last year is still a bit of a mystery. Like I say, I've analyzed them, I've looked at them, and there is no common thread running through the assaults except for the alcohol use, and that's common in all jurisdictions.
Yeah, one of the reason I could probably just, my personal opinion, is also education factor of the domestic violence. If people don't speak up of any abuses, it will have the trend of continuation, and people have to speak up, even if that's your neighbor, or if you know something wrong. Then I think the prevention, the only way you can prevent things, if you have the knowledge, or if you have the information.
That's right. And domestic violence, I saw a statistic in the last little bit that in southern Alberta, Brooks, I saw these stats for southern Alberta, and Brooks has 5.3 domestic violence incidents per 1,000 people per capita, 5.3 per 1,000 population. Mm-hmm. Strathmore, I believe, has 3. That's the closest to us, and everyone else in southern Alberta, outside of the major cities, so that doesn't include Medicine Hat, Calgary, it only in our CMP jurisdiction. Yeah. Everyone else is less than 2 incidents per 1,000. So Brooks has almost twice as many domestic violence incidents as any other community in southern Alberta, which is remarkable. Right. We have done a lot of work to support the people involved, both the victims and the offenders, and we're moving down that. Now we have to move strongly to education and prevention. Mm-hmm. And through the Safe Communities Committee and Kind Communities, which was the coalition, the Brooks Coalition for the Prevention of Domestic Violence, we're hoping to find a funding partner to establish a position in Brooks to create education and prevention coordination and programs to help educate and prevent. We're a generation away from preventing. There's also a myth that I have to put out there. Although Brooks is high in statistics, and a lot of people immediately think that's a New Canadian and immigration issue, New Canadians make up roughly 30 to 35% of our domestic violence files. So it is by no means a New Canadian issue. It's a community issue that we have a problem with, and we have to get a handle on it.
I think, and that's something that we can be able to change. People have the freedom to think whatever they feel like, and the notion that people always, some of the people, blame the New Canadians, immigrants, is just part of underlying issue for that individual, ignorance, lack of knowing other people, not having all the facts on their side, so they just intend to mislead or receive misleading information without double checking the right people. So all those are the issues that place under the people that blaming immigrants. Having said that, yes, there are also issues with the new immigrant population, or they're part of the society in general. There are those who make mistakes, those who don't respect the law. But generalization of a whole community is what is a little bit very much scary. Every society have their own ups and downs. We just need to get together and then have education. And I think I can speak, I think Tom is here, as far as the Brooks and County of Newell is concerned. I think comparing to the other areas, we are in a very safe area, and we are in very community that is caring each other. You will always find 1-2 person that you can convince them in life, and that's, human race, I guess. But in general, we have a very loving family unity in Brooks and County of Newell. Coming back, the other question is what Ron was saying. Do we have any management disaster person that in charge coordination? God forbid something happens in the area.
Yes, we have a very strong emergency preparedness program in Brooks in the County of Newell. Kevin Swanson is our Chief of Protective Services, or Fire Chief. Yeah. Keith Martin is the Fire Chief for the County of Newell. Together they have put together a very, very strong program. In Ron's position, he oversees a number of those people and coordinates them. We don't have that coordinator for our area. We work together. So I come to the table from the police side, and the fires and EMS and Red Cross and social services, every aspect of the community is there, from the city manager, the county manager, the waterworks people, everybody is there, and we are very well served. And our emergency plan in Brooks is complete. We had an exercise not very long ago where we I'm sorry, the language is
drill.
We had a drill where we enacted our emergency operations center.
Yeah.
And we had some off-site action going on where it was a major bus train crash, and it all worked very well. And our emergency operations center worked very well. The other issue that we talked just before going on air about was the lakeside work stoppage, where it had a huge potential economic effect on Brooks, and we came together as a community, and the resiliency committee kind of got together in the same program and plan as the emergency preparedness, and we in Brooks did a heck of a good job around that whole work stoppage and maintaining the community. It was very, very well done.
I couldn't agree more. I think we did very well, and I think Brooks, as well as the county of Newell, the people who live there did very well, as well as the service providers and everyone else in between. Ron, in Medicine, do you have drill now and then for that preparedness?
So we routinely develop tabletop exercises, functional tabletop exercises, which now mobilize interoperability and communications between multiple agencies. Because we have radios that include digital, analog, and everything in between. So interoperability is part of the need behind tabletop and functional tabletop exercises. We've done mock exercises. We've had in 2011 we had a air crash actually on takeoff that impacted our industrial sector in the southeast area of Medicine Hat. Multiple casualties, and we have mass casualty events. Out of necessity, you have to establish an incident command post, communicate to a now activated EOC, stop contaminants from running into your storms, and cordon off those areas. So multiple agencies need to be positioned effectively to protect your community from further harm. And as Tom talks about bringing the agencies together, you can't just suddenly do that. It's like learning a language overnight. You simply can't do that. So you have to develop ERPs, emergency response plans, and we call them scenario-specific ERPs, so that we contemplate those disasters that are going to most likely impact our communities in a devastating way, and how to mitigate that, how to even prevent them by hypothesizing specific scenarios. So we activate those plans, bring multiple agencies together. We can have as many as 50 agencies represented in one emergency operations center, developing objectives that are prioritized and to get our community back on its feet. And we talk about community resilience. That's the effort of all of these agencies working in tandem, developing a coordinated response. Means that there are no freelance because as soon as there's improvisation within an emergency operations center, it doesn't pose a very positive outcome for that community or communities.
That's great, Tom. This is something to do with the families and parents for their kids and the youth and their children. As a very experienced police officer, 30 years, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. How would one, for example, prevent, from the parents' point of view, for their kids or for the community youth to join gangs or radicalization? Just how would they be able to prevent? What do you think are the sign the parents should know, in your experience, for example, so they can prevent some sort of radicalization or the kid joining gang in your experience, or what parents can do?
Well, first of all, I'm not a psychologist, and I've not received a lot of training in this, but through my experience and as a police officer for 30 years and as a parent, and also someone that's been involved in the community and in sports and stuff, every person, every child wants to be valued, and they want to be part of something. And it may be a team, it may be an individual event. They want to be valued at school, or their school marks. They want to be valued just as a person. And if they don't find that value, that reassurance at home or in their immediate circle of influence, they'll go find it. And when people come to town and they've got a lot of money and they're flashing around a lot of money, or they're flashing around an idealism that can hook some people just the way they talk. Any good gang leader or any good person that's in charge of recruiting, whatever, is a politician, is smooth, and they can talk. They can chat people up, so they'll identify the weaker in the crowd, and they'll go after them, and they'll dangle a cash lifestyle, a richer lifestyle, or the idealism that you're yearning for to get, to feel important and to feel that be part of something. So in my view, if parents can keep their kids busy in sports, and sports are immediate and they're just available to everyone. You know, in Brooks, for example, we've got every sport available, and we've got an extremely strong jumpstart program that if your children can't afford it, there's people there that will pay for you to have their children on a travel team, in hockey, in soccer, in gymnastics, in dance, in piano lessons, in anything to be part of. But if that child feels valued, and if they feel valued, then the chances of them saying no to a gang or the radicalization of some of our youth, the chances of them saying no is substantially easier.
Okay, so it starts from the parents valuing the children and listening more their needs and all that. So
very much so.
Okay. No, that's a very good point, because the more we can prevent the youth to make that mistake in their life, the better the community will be.
Yes, the stronger the community will be.
That's said well. As a fire chief as well, former fire chief in 30 years, what are the difficulties that you face dealing with different groups in terms of the fire situation in Medicine Hat?
Well, certainly a dynamic fire prevention program that really identifies specifically how we can prevent fires includes the school programs. Risk Watch, it used to be the programs such as Stop, Drop, and Roll, how to evacuate in an orderly manner, how to prevent the attraction, of course, of children starting fires. We are all attracted by a fire, and for one reason or another. Arson, of course, is one of the issues that is on the rise. And it's typical during an economic downturn that arson rears its ugly head and plays a significant role in security for the community. We had an incident a couple of years back now where an individual who was successfully prosecuted had kept an entire part of our community really at ransom. And in fact, families were taking their children from external bedroom, external walls, bringing them sleeping in the bedroom together for fear of what this individual might do. So arson is another crime where obviously there are behavioral issues that need to be addressed early on. And so again, what Tom is referring to, people who are valued are less likely to perform these kinds of atrocities. And we saw what happened in Boston. You wonder if this kind of same behavioral patterns don't exist with these kinds of horrific outcomes. Part of emergency management's role and responsibility is to develop education and awareness and to build unity, to explain simple processes whereby helping during events or being proactive, giving blood, neighbor helping neighbor, having your go kits prepared, your preparedness kits that are simple, available through Red Cross, and then building them on your own specific needs. Helping the Salvation Army and Red Cross out, being specific with that allocation of funds. Those are all ways in which we can support one another and building unity and building resilient communities.
Thank you. Tom, is it difficult, for example, because the mental health is also rising? How would a police officer, for example, when they face a difficult of making a decision when someone is mental health problem, then supposed to criminal? That is also a very difficult to separate the two.
It is very difficult, but the role of the police is to, first of all, keep the peace.
Yeah.
So to prevent anyone from causing harm to themselves or to others. So any role that we get called into, we will attend and we will assess to the best of our ability the best way to keep the peace there. And if it's arrest and incarcerate in our jail, then if that's an option and a criminal event has taken place, we will. If not, if we believe that a mental illness issue is at hand, under the authority of the Mental Health Act of Alberta, we can arrest and take to a hospital, to a professional. We are certainly nowhere close to being professionals in assessing the mental health of a person, but we can tell if things are going sideways and aren't proper, and then we will take those people
to the hospital,
to the professionals to get the help they need. Once they're assessed by a doctor and a psychiatrist or a combination thereof, then the process will continue. They will either be turned over to further medical help, they may be turned over to us for their own protection and the community's protection, but they will be treated and dealt with after being professionally assessed.
Okay. Can I drive with international driving license, for example?
It's funny, just for Ron's benefit, this is a question that always comes up in Brooks. It's a very big question. International driver's license, if you are a visitor to Canada, and a temporary foreign worker is a visitor to Canada, they can drive in Canada on an international driver's license. If they become a resident of any status, landed immigrant, landed or of any status, then they must get a Canadian driver's license.
So if that takes also 2 years, they'll be able to drive for 2 years with that international license?
If that international license is valid in that time, and you are a visitor, a legal visitor to Canada, you can drive an international license.
Wow, that is That's good. But the international license has to be valid, not expired.
Exactly. Yes.
Oh, okay.
And the other part of the question that I know you're going to ask is a Class 7 license.
Yeah, and the insurance.
It's very important that people understand what a Class 7 license is.
Mm-hmm.
A Class 7 license is a learner's license. Everyone in Canada that gets driver's license must take a written test and obtain a Class 7 learner's license, and then theoretically learn to drive over the next period of time before they obtain their Class 5 or their unrestricted driver's license. In that time, you must drive. With a Class 7, you have restrictions. One of those restrictions is to drive with a person right beside you who has a valid driver's license. That is important. It's the law. You must do it. You must do it. Insurance, everyone that drives in Canada must have insurance to protect each other. I drive a pretty valuable vehicle, and it takes me years to pay for that vehicle. If someone comes and crashes into me and has no insurance, I'm out that money, and that's just not fair. I carry insurance to protect myself and to protect you. Everyone must protect themselves and buy insurance to protect the rest of us in the community. Okay. So insurance is, again, the law states you will have at least public liability and public damage on your vehicle before you take it on the road.
And that has nothing to do with your newcomer, mainstream, or cowboy.
That's right. It doesn't matter where you came from, what you're doing, or who you are. If you're driving, you will have those proper driver's license and insurance.
If someone is driving under the influence, would they lose their license and their car, or they lose the license?
They'll lose both for a short period of time. If they're driving under the influence, they'll lose their car up to 7 days immediately, and their license could be suspended if they're charged with impaired driving or drive all over .08. Their license will be suspended until that is finished in court, which could be months.
Wow, that is that's great to know for the viewers, either Medicine Hat or southeast of Alberta. It's educational for many people, and I thank you very much. We have always see the fire department, the police department, very much heroes, because they take their life selfishness to protect the rest of the people, which to my book is very much heroes. We have Susan Comistic. You know very well that we have one of the wonderful superintendents in our area who is retiring after she did a very great job. And I just want to take the advantage and thanking her for the wonderful job that she did in the area, and wish her good luck. We also have an unsung heroes for the first time in our area. A lot of people were nominated, but the winners were 4 people. Florence, Lisa Tiffin, Sherry Christensen, and Zulu Mengistu. Zulu Mengistu. He's an assistant teacher in the high school in Brooks, who did a very well volunteering from the grassroots level. So you did a very public service for 35 years, and you still continue. You are a hero to us. Thank you very much for again coming to the program. And Tom, as always, we came from the same area called beautiful Brooks and County of Newell. Very honored to have you again, and great thing that you're doing for the community.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure, Ahmed.
Thank you very much.
It is a pleasure.
Thanks, Tom.
Cheers.
Yeah. This is the end of Global Village program for the day. We have a great guests, Ron and Tom, and we hope to have them next time. Until then, thank you very much for joining us, and I hope you will join us next time. This is Ahmed Kassem, your host of the program. God bless you all.